Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday Mull for Thursday, the 10th of December. Reading in Luke chapter 23, the trial of Jesus. He's taken before the chief priests and the Sanhedrin, and they condemn him to death, and they send him to Pilate. And as Pilate interrogates him, they say, this man's come from Galilee, and he's a troublemaker there, and he's making trouble here. And Pilate thinks, here's an out. Send him off to Herod, the king from Galilee. Let Herod deal with this. And we're told in verse 8 of chapter 23, when Herod saw Jesus, he was greatly pleased, because for a long time he'd been wanting to see him. From what he had heard about him, he hoped to see him perform a sign of some sort. And we remember that when he began to hear about Jesus, he was puzzled, who is this man? And he was convinced that this was John the Baptist, who he had executed, come back to life. And so now he has his opportunity to meet with Jesus, this great preacher, this miracle worker, this wonderful person. And Jesus appears before him, and we're told he plied him with many questions, but Jesus gave him no answer. And the chief priest and them continued to ply him with questions and challenge him, and Jesus said nothing. We're told then Herod and his soldiers ridiculed and mocked him, dressing him in an elegant robe. They sent him back to Pilate. And that day, Herod and Pilate became friends. Before this, they'd been enemies. Now, I think in the film of Jesus Christ Superstar, there's this wonderful portrayal of Herod as a small-minded, petty individual. Now, whether that's true or not, I've no idea. But what struck me as reading this was, here were these two powerful men, the king of Judea and the Roman emperor's representative. And Jesus is being bounced backward and forward between them. And it ends up that they became friends. Before this, they'd been enemies. And I'm just struck, Jesus is the great reconciler. These two people that, even though they're antagonistic towards him, his presence reconciles them to each other. And that's what Jesus does. And so we must always be encouraged to get in and to, like Jesus, reconcile people, even if they're not Christians, even if they're not our members, even if they're not close to us. We are there to reconcile people. So that I think that's the one thing. We need to be reconcilers. The second thing that struck me in this was just how the Jewish leadership, together with the Roman leadership, together with the autonomous Jewish king, all sided together against Jesus. And we must remember that in this world we will be tolerated, but we will not be loved. We might have a space, but we will not often be respected, and the world will tend to gang up against us. In the West, we've been spared this for a long time, but that time is now ending, and I think we're going to find ourselves as Christians more and more like Christians in the rest of the world experience their faith, where they might be tolerated, but they might also be persecuted. And so we need to steel ourselves for that. That's what Jesus experienced. That's what the disciples experienced. That's what many Christians through the ages have experienced. And if it comes to our turn to experience it, like them, we stand in Jesus. We are entirely honest and faithful. And we keep showing love, even as Jesus did. So be encouraged as a reconciler, and be strengthened when people do not accept us because of what we stand for. So be encouraged and be blessed.